Hey guys, and welcome back to another video, and today with a gadget which is part for the children and part for the adult. This is a smartwatch, if I can say so, with GPS tracking and also voice calling and messaging and so on and so forth. So really nice, and we will talk about in just a few moments. But first, don't forget to check out the sponsor of this video, which is PureVPN, one of the fastest VPN services that I've used so far at an affordable price, with some great prices at this moment until the end of the month, and available for almost any platform. So don't forget to check the link down below. And guys, starting with this is a gadget that costs 15 euros. So if you ask me, hey Robert, is it worth it? Totally. Even though it's not perfect, as we will share in just a few moments. But starting with the watch itself, it's made of a rubberized plastic on the top and rubber on the rest. In terms of the waterproof of this watch, it is not waterproof. It is splash proof, but the area where we are going to put the SIM cards, it's not well isolated, so the water will get in. Nonetheless, if you sweat a little bit and if it rains, it's okay. It has a few buttons right over here, one of which is for the SOS, where you can program a number that if you press for a few seconds, it will call the number, and if that number fails to answer, then it will go to the next. We have a few options in terms of numbers, and then I also have 3 buttons on this side. One is turn on, turn off, and then 1 and 2, which is to be able to move up and down, select the numbers, make a voice call, answer a call. So everything that we need is right over here. In terms of the card that I'm using at this moment, it's a SIM card, but it's not the same card that we use on our phone. This is a data card, not a mobile phone card. It's just for data, and it will use the GPRS, transmit a voice over the data. If we use a SIM card from our phone, what we will have is a message with the PIN from that SIM card, and we will not be able to use. So just have that in attention. Now, one of the things that really surprised me is how well the watch works in terms of voice calls. I was not expecting, when I looked at this watch, I thought this might be a great option to a GPS tracking that the kid can use and track his steps and so on and so forth, have a watch to see the time, but at the same time we will have a little bit more safety. We know exactly where it is and so on and so forth. Now, that part on the GPS, it's not perfect, and we'll talk about that in just a few moments, but in terms of the voice call, really cool. And I'm going to show you guys a few footages next, but it's in Portuguese. Nonetheless, you will understand in terms of quality if the watch is good or not. Já está chamado? Ok. E diz já meio o que a gente está aqui a fazer, diz que estamos a gravar o vídeo e tal, não sei o quê.
Esta só me vai atender. Toma aí.
Está
Olha.
tudo bem? Pergunta à mãe se está tudo bem.
Está tudo bem?
Tudo bem, já foste para a escola?
Sim.
Sim, vai para buscar?
Sim, foi.
Tá bem.
Diz lá, mãe, o que estás a fazer.
Oh mãe, nós estamos a gravar o vídeo.
Está bem, eu sei. Estou a perguntar, está a sonhar?
Sim, estou muito melhor.
Só para que vocês tenham ideia de... esta é ela. Watch, and we can speak, and the other person on the other side of the phone will hear really well. So here, 15 heroes, I'm really not sure how they can manage it, but they've done a great job. On the other hand, the GPS, although 80 to 90% of the time it works great, there were some times in this past week that I found having my kid located near the river when he was just in front of me. So there are a few bugs here and there, some failures. Probably they will need to update and upgrade the firmware here and there, or some hardware limitation as well. So one thing that I would like to mention is that it works well, but it could be a little bit better because it fails sometimes in terms of the GPS tracking. And in terms of the watch, this is it. Great for phone calls, great for those kids that have maturity enough to have a device to make phone calls, but they're still not mature enough, like my kid, to have a mobile phone, because he will think of everything, playing games and so on and so forth, and not for the phone call itself, which is the important thing. Actually, for those of you that remember, these devices were made for phone calls and not for gaming, and although we use for everything these days. Nonetheless, this is a device great for that gap on young kids that will need a communication device, but the phone is still not best tool for them. Now moving to the application itself, which is the app that we will use on our phone, available for Android and iOS. And guys, one thing that I would like to criticize here is that they made this app for kids. It looks really childish, and this is to be used by an adult and the watch for the kids. So I do believe that they could improve the app a little bit and give it a more professional look. Nonetheless, what I can say is that the app has a lot of options right over here. If we go to the settings, we will find the SOS number that we can choose to place in, and then we have several options to place 3 or 4 numbers just in case the first number doesn't answer. It will follow for the next one, and so on and so forth. And then the location update schedule, which will give us the normal mode, which will update 10 in 10 minutes, and then the power saving mode, which updates every 1 hour, and finally the tracking mode, which updates every 1 minute. Now, one of the things that I would like to say as well is that in terms of the phone book, we can add up to 10 numbers that the watch will be able to phone. Now, one thing is that those are the numbers that it will be able to phone. It will not be able to enter any number right over here. Regardless, that any phone that has this number will be able to phone to him. So one thing that I'm trying to manage is not to tell him the number so that he can't give to any of his colleagues, so that they don't make phone calls inside classrooms and so on and so forth. So the only person that knows his number is me, mom, and granddads, grandmothers, and so on and so forth. So those are the only contacts that he has here, and those are the important for him at this moment in his life. Then after that, the app has a few more options here, but nothing that you guys will not understand. I'll show you for a few seconds right over there, and that's about it. In terms of battery, what I can say is that it's 1 day, because it has the tracking, it has the data always on, so it will drain the battery in 1 day. At this moment, if I can look at the battery, still have 3 dashes from the 4. It is 6 o'clock in the afternoon, more or less, so probably 1 day and a half. What we are doing is that when he goes to bed, puts the charge, and that's about it. The next day puts on his wrist, and there we go. So 1 day that we can count on it, and that is it, guys. If you ask me, hey Rob, is it worth it? Completely. For 15 years, even if the GPS is not perfect, as I said, for a device that it's capable to make phone calls, it's great. My kid is 10 years old, so in this particular age, I believe, in my opinion, my wife's opinion, it's too young for a phone, but not too young for this kind of device, which is only to watch the time and also to make these phone calls, which is great. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and if you did so, don't forget the usual thumbs up. My name is Roberto Jorge, and as always, I'll see you guys on the next one.